It's The Perfect Union, the perfect podcast for the perfect country, brought to you by your perfect host, Hank Thompson, for you, the perfect listener. Hello, everybody. Perfect Union is the politics wing of Winners and Losers Enterprises and Apocalypse training courses. Don't forget to sign up for upcoming class, The Sauce Packet Economy, from the gold standard to the Kikkoman standard. Invest in your future by asking for extra ketchup. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Wednesday, March 25th. I feel like it's important to say the date because the world is traveling so quickly. Things are just propelling forward into the worst possible scenario imaginable, other than nuclear war. I think having a pandemic break out globally in this time, at this part of human civilization, with the leadership we have, is about the worst thing we could imagine. If there's any, I'm just getting straight to it. I didn't mean to start talking about this. I was going to ramble about some nonsense. But if there's any disaster or scenario that requires competence, that requires patience and responsibility, and everything that we lack in government and in leadership, it's a pandemic. It's such a big, multifaceted, complicated thing. Not that I'm some expert on it at all. I saw Outbreak 20 years ago on DVD, possibly even Laserdisc. I don't know. Who can tell these days? But I've been reading a lot and paying attention, and it doesn't take a big logical or intellectual leap to look at the situation and say, we need competence. We need people that know what they're doing and care about making people's lives better. It's fucking unbelievable that we have so many people are going to die because of what our government has done and is doing. They're getting people killed. These people belong in The Hague. These are crimes against humanity that are being perpetrated against America by its own people. I don't know. Okay. All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Hank. I'm the host. The only guy. There's no other else. I do want to get guests, but and I might do some remote guesting thing here. But this virus is taking over. We're all Corona people now, aren't we? We've just entered this bizarre world where people are staying home. For me, it's not that much of a lifestyle change. I've been staying home and out of the sun for quite a while, unemployed, depressed, blah blah blah. You've heard it. You've heard all the sob story stuff, but it's just so weird. This would be terrifying if we had a great government. If we were somewhere further down the line towards the socialist utopia we all deserve, where we had actual capable people who are well-paid bureaucrats who have transparency and they're responsible, and we have a government that's nimble, that learns from its mistakes with a mission to always look for ways to improve life, to highlight areas that need improvement and work on them. Even if we had a stable, like a Northern European style government, we can even imagine something better than that. This would be terrifying because there's so many unknowns and so many things that that feel out of control, that are big systematic. I think the word is systemic there. The systemic nature of a virus, because it taps into all of our systems, our media system, these streams of information, the medical system, the healthcare system. How do you pay for the system? The work, the employer-employee relationship. And it requires all those to be working well. And even then it would be terrifying. So here we are with this constellation of system breakdowns, and it's going to get people killed. Anyway, all right. Well, it's... So today we're talking a little about the virus, actually. I'm just going to kind of talk about a couple of observations I've had in terms of living with this right now. There's going to be more to say about it. Thanks to anybody who's a new listener or found the YouTube channel or whatever. It's great to see people listening a little bit. And it's a slow climb. It's a long climb. But I appreciate anybody who's offering their attention. A lot of attention. Distractions out there, and I hope to be one of your distractions to help you get through this horrible fucking time. It's so bad. It's so bad. It is so fucking horrible right now. Plenty of reasons to have some optimism, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I do want to work on a list of upsides. that I'll probably do as a segment or something. But man, humans are wonderful animals. Humans will come together to work together to solve problems and look out for each other, because that's human nature. That's what people do. That's how we evolved. Our instincts are set up so that it feels good to help. And it hurts to be alone. Those two things to me always seem very it's obvious indicators that we are just simply meant to be collectively doing things. And, that happens during emergencies, during disasters. People, we could call it socialism. There's a lot of kind of oversimplified use of that word lately. So we'll just go with it for a while, or could get into some of the detail about means of production and democracy in the workplace and other things like proper socialist principles and whatnot. But I'm still kind of learning all that too. So I don't feel, it's I feel like I would have a responsibility to more fully vet the information before I try to start spouting off on it. Not that I haven't already, but in the sense that socialism is just the government looking out for you and doing something for you, like this Martin Luther King, this quote you've heard, government is socialism for the rich, rugged individualism for the poor. It's true. It's true. It's and so in that use of the vernacular, if that's the right lexicon, oh crap, then we're seeing that the answer to all of this problem, and as is always the case during any disaster, socialism is the answer. People work together to fix things, perhaps not for a profit. What do you think? Like during the Houston floods, there was a huge hurricane, just tons of rain was dumping all over Texas 2 or 3 years ago. I just remember watching the coverage of that. The news was talking about a chemical tank. There's a lot of oil processing and refining going on in the Gulf Coast in Texas, and that's understandable. And tons of chemicals are stored there in big tanks. And this one facility was blowing up, just blasting toxic chemicals into its local community and environment because it was busted by all the floodwaters and things are going wrong. There's fires and shit. And capitalism runs. Capitalism fucking grabs its cooler of Coronas and runs when there's a disaster. Socialism comes charging in. You got government socialism, like ambulances, fire departments, FEMA, the government, if they're competent. Trump shooting paper towels like a basketball is not exactly what you call, competence. But socialism comes pouring in, and it also comes pouring out of people. They show up during that time that the Houston floods. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but all these local people from Texas in the area were rushing to the floods with their boats, just men and women just showing up with their stuff to try to find people that they could help, rescue some dogs, rescue some cats, maybe not rescue those goddamn ferrets, those things, huh? Am I right, Mark? What if I pissed off the ferret community? Hashtag fun fair. Why did I do that? So all these people came to rescue other people that they didn't know, because they're following their human instinct that you're supposed to do. For some reason, we don't mind that during emergencies and disasters. But then once that's over, we kind of revert back to our upper level. It's almost like our brain has a root system that comes out during emergencies, but then the malware of modernity and capitalism sort of reasserts itself when things calm down, and we go back to this just fucking brutal, just nasty, heartless, cold, evil, immortal system and way of thinking that profit's the only thing that matters. Profit at any cost, externalities, let someone else deal with the pollution, let some other generation deal with the debt that you're accruing for all this bullshit. And man, could it possibly be more stark now that we're March 25th here in the timeline, and the right wing has been squawking for at least 4, 5, 6 days now about, no, we got to go back to work. This is causing a lot of money cost for me and my rich buds. We don't like that our stocks are suffering so much. And it's an enormous recession is about to happen, potentially depression. I would predict it's going to be an enormous depression because we are way over our heads with this. But there's talking about how the cure can't be, and this is Trump's line, he got it from somebody else, but the cure can't be worse than the problem or some shit like that. Meaning it's worse to lose money because the economic activity is stalled out than for people to die a horrible, lonely, sad, scary death of a respiratory virus that completely shreds their lungs, and it's a really bad way to die. And capitalism wants its money. You got to work. It's not up to you. And Trump can't order. That's the thing too, that if they do decide that it's just like what an irresponsible thing to do to yourself, to put someone like that in charge of such an important role. God, but he's been saying we can't by the end of the month. Like 15 days, there's like a mandatory, okay, they agree, like, okay, 2 weeks of lockdown, that seems reasonable. Well, we just got to go back to work. And so they're starting in on that. They're starting to put out that messaging, in addition to their racism that they're doing by calling it the Chinese virus, or the Wuhan flu, or the Kung flu, I've heard them say. They're just leaning into the evil parts of the society that, you work. And I guarantee you what'll happen is a lot of people will go back to work, but their boss won't. I'm sure some bosses will, but there'll be plenty of cases where the bosses are still going to stay in their hideout. They got nice ways to live out this stuff. People with the big, nice mansions and all the savings. And, they might be seeing a bunch of numbers dipping down on their 401k accounts and their investment portfolios. I don't necessarily relish in that people are struggling so much. This isn't about necessarily that because rich people are getting hurt by this too, that's a proof that it's good or whatever. It's like, no, this whole system is fucked to live on the edge of the precipice of collapse at all times. And so, but I think we're going to see bosses forcing people to go back to work, because Trump can't force people to work. It's not the president's role or job to say you all have to go work. But they make it legal for your boss to do that, because it's your boss's job. Your boss is legally allowed to tell you what to do. That's why they're your boss. That's the whole fucking problem, is that it's not up to you. They choose when you work. Now, you can choose to quit. You can decide not to go. You don't have to. And that's a distinction that we mark as far as it being a slave or not a slave. But if you want to eat, you want to maintain your health insurance in America, you want to, keep your job, you do what your boss tells you to do. There's only so much insubordination they tolerate. And so it's their choice. So the government can decide, oh, we won't, your boss won't face any punishment. And I'm not sure how many bosses would get into trouble now, but, you have a right to, it just changes what you're allowed to do for your own self. They're going to give the power back to your boss. And they'll tolerate people dying. It won't work. It's not even going to happen anyway, because the hospitals are about, and it's already starting to happen. This was predicted because it's obvious, and it's also already been observed. Spain is being hit really hard. Italy has had a tremendous problem, and our hospital capacity is very low. We don't have excess capacity because America is this capitalist nightmare, this capitalist freak show, and has been for so long. So it's crazy. It's like there's one thing you hear about the coronavirus too, is like people talk about the comorbidities of its risk, the risk factors. So if you have diabetes, that's a comorbidity. If you have excess weight, comorbidity. If you're older, if you're a certain generational or decade span, that's a comorbidity. If you have respiratory issues, comorbidity, and that term applies to other, like, it's just a framework for looking at contributing factors to risk assessment. But America, in kind of a broader sense, if you pull back to like a systems look at it all, there's comorbidities here for society. The healthcare system, massive comorbidity. It's confusing. It's expensive. It's unfair. It's unpredictable. It's hard. It's just almost impossible to access. And also, because it's all profit driven, largely, we don't maintain any excess inventories. That's why Trump got rid of the pandemic team in the White House. At least one of the things he said. This fucking idiot. They're sitting around doing nothing. What do we have them doing nothing for? It's just like, that's why we pay. Yeah, we want them doing nothing. Like, you don't want it's good to have a fire department that you never use. That's a good thing. It's good to have a pandemic department and that you're never going to use. But if you do happen to need somebody, a burly man from a calendar, to show up with a hose and spray it all over you, well, you call up the pandemic folks, okay? So if they'll come with hazmat suits and syringes and they'll stab you in the arm and you'll feel better. See, I don't think that's exactly how it works, but it's just, so we have these comorbidities here. We have the profit motive in America. Not that it's not everywhere else, but that causes people in businesses to be cruel, and it trains bosses to be pieces of shit. Trust in media in America is very low. Deliberately, consolidating media in the 90s with the Telecommunications Act, 1996, I think, that set in motion, not that it was all great before that, and getting rid of the fairness doctrine and all these other things, but we've set up this system where, most media companies, especially the primary kind of core influential ones, are all owned by 5 or 6 people. And the internet has raised a lot of the profiles of a lot of other people in different ways too, but trust in media is very, very low, largely thanks to Trump, but mostly thanks to this systemic kind of misinformation that's always out there. Trust in politics, similarly. Individualism is another comorbidity in America. Just this notion, and this combines with the healthcare comorbidity in a way where, you don't have health insurance, or if you do go to the doctor, it's going to be very expensive, or it's going to, even your copay, if you have a shitty copay, not everybody wants to spend $20, which is a low copay. When I had insurance, I was thinking about this. I've had insurance for maybe a year about a year and 6 months of my entire life. I've had health insurance. Although I guess maybe when I was a kid, I got to see doctors. I mean, I had I don't think they do kid insurance, but so maybe there were some years there though where I had I went to college. I think I had access to university healthcare, but as a working adult, because I owned my own business for a long time. First time I worked at Young Turks, I had health insurance, and the last time I only had it for a couple months during my year there. Or during my 15 months there. So I've hardly ever had health insurance, but individualism and lack of healthcare access, and you do this generationally. And what you end up with is people just toughing it out. I don't need any help. I'm fine. I'll wait it out. And with a lot of illnesses, if you don't do anything, you usually get better. Colds and sicknesses and other things. But there's so many. I'm not saying we should all be able to go to the doctor at the slightest hint of being sick. People don't. Or maybe there's a reasonable point, but there's that threshold right now for Americans, especially those on the lower end of the economic scale, they're going to be is so much closer, so much further past the point where it's safe. Meaning they get sick, they get better. They get sick, they get better. They get sick, they don't get better. It starts to get worse. It turns out there's something else going on. Oh, it turns out you could have seen a doctor. If you'd seen a doctor 2 years ago, you would have caught it. And it would have cost society $2,000 to fix. Instead, now it's going to cost society $95,000. And it might not work. And you're going to be in a lot of pain. And you're going to miss a bunch of work. And you're going to cause all these downstream effects of waiting to get healthcare is a consequence of individualism and the brutal, stupid, greedy, selfish, capitalist way that our American healthcare system is set up. And it's a security risk, as we're learning now. Sick people are a security risk. Something that's been highlighted is we've seen Japanese folks, Chinese folks, and over the years you see someone like they wear masks, and you're always thinking wow, air pollution. At least that was more in my head always when I saw that. I was like, oh look, they're like when they showed a street shot of people in Japan. Turns out, and it might be air pollution. I don't know. I realize how ignorant I am about this right now, but they have more of a collective kind of stripe to their cultures than we do here. It hasn't been trained out of them. It's human instinct is to be a collective person. So it exists more in those countries. America's more diverse. They're less diverse than we are. Yeah, I don't care. This doesn't mean that we're not humans here. If anything, our diversity is a strength, which is cheesy but true. And we've just been exploited. The diversity here has been used as a tool to keep everybody apart. Anyway, seeing the Japanese folks with masks wasn't air pollution as much as it was that's a kindness and respect that you do when you're sick to the people who you live near, especially in crowded, like Japan especially has a very high population density. It's just an island nation. So you should wear your mask when you're sick. And that comports with the advice about the coronavirus, is that you're not really protecting yourself from it if you're out there. It's mostly to prevent you from coughing it out into the world and getting it all over the place. So I don't think that's what I think most Americans who are wearing masks right now, because I've been seeing people in masks out in the world, and it's weird. I think most are doing it thinking they're protecting themselves. And that might be true to some degree. And it's so strange now, isn't it? How is everybody doing? You guys handling this? I've only been to the grocery store. There's a couple of grocery stores that I go to, and there's lines outside. You know, they don't let as many people in. You have to stand, you know, farther away from people. That's 6 feet social distancing and distance. And but just seeing the way people, kind of the energy of the world is very different. It's like I've never been in an eclipse, but I imagine, well, I've heard that it's pretty cool when it happens. This is like the opposite of that. It's like we have this pall of like, I feel like this is what it's like when you're sitting outside a room, but you know there's a dead body in the other room. You know, I don't think I'd be comfortable, especially if the door wasn't open or closed, or what would be worse? Door closed, door open would be worse. Door closed would still be pretty bad. If you knew there was a dead body, like an official dead body, like a funeral home, not just like some crime evidence. All dead bodies are just like, if I saw like a friend of mine dead, I'd be like, well, this is going to become evidence soon. When do we get to close his eyes and give him a kiss and then leave him, you know, send him on his, call the coroner? I don't know. The hell am I talking about? Oh, you know, the grocery stores are funny. Like, so tons of capitalism shelves. That's weird, isn't it? Us abundant, affluent society of America, where the shelves are always filled with stuff, even if you couldn't buy all of it all the time. But now we're seeing empty shelves. Some things get restocked, not everything. They brought back the DiGiorno's. I've been eating more pizzas in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Normally I do keto, which is very low carb, and I love it and I feel good on it. But man, I have been packing it on. The stress eating is full speed ahead. I'm gonna move to an ice flow and wait for a pod of orcas to knock me off with their superior intelligence. That's about where I'm headed with my weight gain. Man, yeah, it's gross. My pants are getting tight. Shirts are feeling tighter. I'm really putting it on, really doing it. Like it's a contest. So you can kill themselves with diabetes before the end of the month. But it's okay. You know what? I feel confident. I'm going to a few more days. Just going to eat that shit. Dump some sriracha sauce on some pizza and stuff it into my pizza hole. And I'm not going to beat myself up about it right now. You know, the fucking world is ending. I'm lonely as fuck. Although I'm happy to have my roommate. Wouldn't it suck to be completely alone? And a lot of people are dealing with this. And I think that's something else that's really scary, is the psychological effects of this whole thing. You know, a lot of people are going to go through emotionally challenging times. I've had my own issues over my life. I could speak with some confidence about this topic. Not that I know other people's case, but you know, stress and fear and your sort of societal output, whatever that means. The river of pink ooze is bubbling, the one that flows beneath all the lands through the abandoned subway tunnels. We are we're going to face some serious problems, and not just the stress is corona related and virus related, but the money thing is adding to people's stress, which reduces your immune system function, which affects your sleep. It can also affect your sleep, which also reduces your immune system function. You might be eating DiGiorno's pizza exclusively with the occasional microwave donut with a slab of peanut butter smacked on top of it. By the way, everybody do that. It's fucking awesome. 20 seconds. Don't overcook your bread. And that can be a contributor to it. And so I'm worried, though. I think a lot of people are going to face some tough times. People will have hard times in the good times. Can you imagine we would have ever thought the world had good times before? It has been times of good, but it's bad. And the hospitals are all kind of gearing up for to be overwhelmed, which is starting to happen. I'm starting to see stuff on Twitter and on the news about, at least some places are planning the responses all over the country are different. Mississippi, the governor says, go out and do your thing. Fucking idiots. I mean, so there's all sorts of death going on. Okay. All right. You know what? Let's get to the stuff that I had planned out. I already produced it up here in my my video. There's more to say about the corona. I could easily just keep rambling. Celebs are catching it, though. That's something that's concerning, right? Disconcerting, right? You don't say it's disconcerting would mean that if something is concerning, it's good, but you don't ever use it. Okay, what? All right, Hank, don't do this anymore. But one of the things that made it real was all the famous people who seem to be getting it. Let's take a look at. I just did a little brief looking into what celebrities are catching it. We got Daniel Day Kim. You'll recognize this guy from Lost. He's also on an episode of Star Trek Voyager, one of the good ones, and one of the good episodes. I mean, and he's got the corona. Let's see. So he says he looks like a pretty healthy guy. I'm sure he'll be fine. Idris Elba and his wife, Sophie. Sorry, fuck. Here it is. Sabrina. Sorry. It's actually, oh, you know what? Trudeau's wife, Sophie. Okay. I'm getting all jumbled here, but Justin Trudeau's wife, Sophie, has the corona. He's in quarantine because of it. This is the Canadian Prime Minister. But the Planet Earth Prime Minister, Idris Elba, I can't say it, and his wife, Sabrina, both have the corona. I'd like to get corona with somebody. I think it'd be kind of romantic. You just have corona sex all the time, you know, start coughing into each other's mouths and not have to worry about it. Be nice. Give a finger in the belly button. So Idris Elba's got it. That's tragic. It seems to be only affecting handsome men. Here's this. His name is Christopher Hivju, some kind of Nordic Viking shit, like whatever. This red bearded guy from Game of Thrones. You might have recognized him if you're not watching. If you're probably just listening to this, so he's the big bearded guy, Tormund, who tells the story in Game of Thrones about getting drunk on giant's milk, I think, or something like. No, maybe I don't know. He gets drunk and then he gets adopted by one of the giants. He tells a story. We covered it on Suck Professor, my other YouTube channel. You can check that out if you're curious. He talks like this, I think. I don't remember. So he's got it. That's sad. He's hopefully he'll be okay. Probably a pretty healthy fella, you know, in general. The members of the Philadelphia 76ers and the Denver Nuggets have gotten the virus. Plenty of testing for athletes. I know there's a couple of dudes at the Utah Jazz picked it up. I don't think Michael Jordan's going to get it because he's immortal and a god, and gods don't get sick. And if they do, they've got great health insurance with extremely reasonable copays. In heaven, the copays are like $5, and it's heaven dollars, which you can only get if you work because heaven's capitalist. So you have to, if you don't work there, you die. That's why all the angels are so thin. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Harvey Weinstein picked it up. Got a test for convicted rapists, but not us regular nice folks. That's too bad. Hopefully he actually, he deserves treatment. He's under the care of American justice system, but guy can go fuck himself too. He's a fucking piece of shit. Olga Kurylenko. I got this list from some website that she got the Rona. She's wearing a face mask on one of her Instagram pictures there. Prince Charles has been tested positive for coronavirus. The guy whose mother will not die. Kind of funny that the heir to the throne of England is a deadly pandemic virus, but the funny part is if his mom outlives him. Like, this woman is just going to go forever. So that's sad, Prince Charles. So I wish you all the best there, fuckface. Let's see. Just some quicker ones. Placido Domingo, that's the opera singer guy. He's probably got some comorbidities going on there, as all opera singers do. You can't have a voice that big and not be a big old belly. That's why I'm growing my belly. Colton Underwood, this is from some website called Global News. He was starred in season 23 of The Bachelor. Okay, that's fine though. For enough certain segment of people, they see a guy that they see on TV. And then that makes things more so it's just in terms of whether this stuff sinks in, because that's part of what Americans and people in general are more resistant to media, or they have different levels of trust in media, or they're so busy they don't pay attention to media, or they it's fine. That's kind of the promise of America was always, and this is one of the ways that get people to not engage, is that you don't have to pay attention to politics. Let other people worry about it. They want you to do that. That way you don't vote as much. There's all sorts of other ways votes suppressed. So Colton, hope you're feeling better there, handsome fellow. Andy Cohen. He's watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. I think he's like a fashion guy or something. I don't really know. He's he's one of those sort of charismatic, charming guys. Debbie Mazar. She's an actor. She, I believe, was that doesn't say it right there. I've seen her in some stuff though. I don't know. David Bryan, the Bon Jovi songwriter. Oh no, what will we do without him? Keyboard player. That shouldn't be. I wish him all the best. But so famous folks. Oh, Prince Albert of Monaco. Shouldn't have gone into that can. Am I right? That's the thing, right? Who else? Rand Paul. This was a big one. March 22nd. When this news hit here, NPR's headline, Senator Rand Paul has tested positive for the coronavirus. What's funny about it is that, what's the libertarian response to this? I mean, just leave it all alone, let the free market handle things. It's kind of the opposite of that. If it just be, I don't know. It's like to deal with a pandemic, you need to have like big, competent, well-funded government, which is sort of the opposite of what free market or what libertarians are looking for in society. But anyway, a conversation for another day. But Rand Paul, in his infinite wisdom, he was one of 8 Republican senators who voted against a coronavirus relief package last week after the Senate opposed his efforts to offset spending on the legislation. Yeah, I just think that we ought to just not spend money if we're going to be funding the coronavirus. Yeah, it's just like, I just don't think that it's a good idea to spend. Taxation's theft. I don't know if you guys all knew that or not. It's a little more of his dad, Ron, there. But yeah, so I actually did an animated thing for the Rand Paul. There's a big picture of it if you're not watching on YouTube. And just compare to himself. There you go. Check that out. Look at that. Like a pretty good artist guy drawing fella. That's an animation puppet. So I can turn it into a guy and I can even do the voice or something if I want to. Hank, you ought to do some better drawing of my voice. Ow, my rib. I've got a big gaping wound in my hole because I signed a deal with the devil so I can't heal any wounds. And when my neighbor tackled me off of my riding lawnmower he's a doctor. I don't know. Okay. All right. Sorry. I got to keep moving here. So, one of the things that we've been seeing, it's kind of funny, not funny, funny, where there's those of us who have accepted the risks and believe the science and see what we, see what we're seeing and mostly think that we have a sense of it, are like saying, don't go near anybody. Don't do it. You got to stay away. It actually is an effective way to flatten the curve. We all have to participate in this or else it's going to be bad for everybody. And but that's led to this sort of subgenre that's been online of like videos of people gathering, doing the most normal thing people do, which is gather in groups and go to nightclubs and go to parties and go to bars and go to restaurants, go to the beach and go to stuff. I'm not a big fan of crowds. The only crowds I like being around are if I'm on stage talking to everybody. Other than that, I hate being in crowds. It's so uncomfortable. But in this case, we've got a helicopter flying over a beach. I think this is March 16th. Let's just take a listen real quick and see how this goes.
What are we looking at? This is...
Oh, wow.
A lot of people. So if you think that the beaches are being impacted here by coronavirus, by COVID-19 and by the new cases that are emerging here in Florida, this is
yeah. We don't play all of it. I don't know what a full beach looks like, but there's people pretty close to each other all over the place, and there's something about the inherent disrobedness of being at the beach. So there's just a lot more flesh and tissue hanging around, shirts and butts and legs and stuff. It just feels like you're even more exposed, which I imagine maybe you are. But then I've also heard that sun is bad for the virus. But nevertheless, you're still going to absorb some droplets from some of these folks. And, it's probably not good. It's probably not good to be around that many people. And really, really scary. The delays the right wing did, the GOP, they telling their folks, their viewers, it was a hoax. I saw a poll. I don't have the video or the graphic of it right now, but of I think like Democrats trust the government at like 70-something%, blah, blah, blah. But it's completely inverted. And Trump is like at 10-15% or something ridiculously high. But for Republicans, the trust as far as information from about the coronavirus. It's like 80-something% trust Trump, and it's the highest number. So they're getting their information from this guy, and he's already gotten somebody killed who took I don't know what's it, the koi pond chemical, some kind of antibacterial or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but the guy and his wife took a bunch because they believed the president, and he died. She survived it, and she's quoted saying, "Like, don't believe the president." A little more of the beach.
It's Clearwater Beach here, everybody.
Say that looks like clear water.
And one of the questions that we were
looks like dangerous water. Get out, everybody! There's tiny invisible sharks in the water.
Were asked here earlier was whether or not the beaches were going to be impacted by what's going on here with coronavirus in the state of Florida. By the looks of it, this looks to be a pretty busy day here.
All right, that's a busy day in the beach. So what's the next video here? All right, so mostly I've got Biden stuff to talk about today. A few things from Trump, though, just kind of, I don't know, I'd say follow-up. That sounds formal. But Trump, this is him saying, we're going to get to the point, I'm not sure how far into the clip it is, but where he says that we're not a shipping clerk about the United States federal government. Here we go. This is from March 19th.
You enabled, I guess is probably the best way to put it, the Defense Production Act yesterday, but you didn't pull the trigger on it.
No, because we hope we're not going to need that.
You're getting a lot of calls on Capitol Hill from the Democratic leadership to pull
It's going to go away. Why do we need to prepare? I've decided it's going to be gone.
the trigger on it. Why? What's the rationale for not doing it?
First of all, governors are supposed to be doing a lot of this work, and they are doing a lot of this work. The federal government's not supposed to be out there buying vast amounts of items and then shipping. You know, we're not a shipping clerk.
Yes, it is. You are a shipping clerk. You fucking idiot. That's not we're not a shipping clerk. Like he doesn't even say we're not a shipper. He doesn't say we're not a shipment business, a clerk. To him, the shipping occurs from the clerk, the person who stands at the desk and is really good with the tape. You ever notice when you take tape to like a UPS store, the person's like, man, they're like fucking great at the tape. And then you think to yourself, well, they work at a UPS store. Makes sense. We're not a shipping clerk, you fucking idiot.
Don't give a shit.
Here, one more time.
We're not a shipping clerk.
Ugh. The government, one of the things the government does better than everybody else on the planet is shipping. It's called the post office. For years and years and years, they used horses. They called them ponies back then. You could put a piece of wax on the back of a folded up piece of paper, write down my beloved Lauren from East Sussex, and some guy will grab it from your mailbox and take it to Lauren in East Sussex. That's called shipping. You want to send Lauren a box of potpourri? Homemade potpourri? What the hell am I talking about? Sussex? So that's probably England. The government's great at shipping stuff. That's like really one of their main things. one of the most and it's kind of incredible. I won't. If you gave me a piece of paper and you gave me 50 cents, I think stamps are up to 50 cents now, which seems ridiculous. I think they're 23 cents when I was much younger. I'm already, yeah, it's funny how life forces you into that part where you're just like, boy, when I was a kid, like that's a thing. It happens. I'm not going to bring anything for you to anywhere for 50 cents. I won't even bring it next door. I will slap you in the face with your envelope and it will break the box of potpourri. And Lauren will be without her box of potpourri that she'd not asked for. Leave Lauren alone. Why don't you quit trying to pay me to bring her? What the hell?
The governors are supposed to be, as with...
Oh, yeah, the governor. Shut the fuck up. We're not a shipping clerk. This guy's such an idiot. Okay, so in this clip, you might have seen this one, heard this one. This is a guy asking, what should you tell Americans who are scared? And Trump's response is beyond absurd.
The Americans who are scared, though, I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000.
This is March 20th. I believe that was last Friday. I don't know. March 20th.
1,000 who are sick. Millions, as you witness, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what.
What the fuck is that? Because he listed some statistics because he said a few things about people dying. 200 dead. People are scared. Millions are scared. What is this? It's
what I say.
He tries to move on real quick. I forgot the guy's name.
I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people. The American people are looking for answers, and they're looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism, and
if you're watching, the guy's facial expressions are really funny. He's holding his hand to his chest, and then he's just like, he's very confused, and he should be. It's such a like, this is how Trump's mind works. This is like a little peek into it. Like when you, when someone breaks a bone and you can see inside their body or something. That doesn't make it okay. The way he processes this question is that he is being made to look bad, and therefore he's getting defensive and testy. Like, I'm so fucking tired of having to dissect this piece of shit's psychology. God, it's annoying. I mean, I don't have to, right? I wish I can't help it. I kind of like dissecting psychology is kind of my thing, but it's like we're forced, and this is true of living with a narcissist or working with a narcissist. You have to you can only really play by their rules, because they are constantly reinforcing their defenses and their walls, and they're always looking for opportunities to be offended. Not that they know that, but that because that reveals a part of their wall that has to be reinforced, even with even more urgency, and that can lead to anger and outbursts. And one of the primary things that people feel when they work with a narcissist, or even worse, are married to one or elect one as their president, although I'm sure there's plenty of other narcissists in government, is you just feel confused. You just never really know where you lie, where the person is. With like someone who has a predictable and a stable and a more or less normal emotional reactor, you can kind of understand that, oh yeah, that's fine. They're all good. I'm good. They might, you can read their anger accurately. You can read their sadness accurately. You can read their contentment and their stableness, which should be the majority of the time. You don't want to be angry all the time. And but with narcissists, you're always confused. You just don't, and it's a subtle thing. It's very weird. I've read some articles about it because I was working with someone and I was like, and I finally figured it out. And the articles are very reassuring. And one of the saddest parts about it actually was reading the comments in these articles about narcissism and stuff. And this is years ago, not Trump related, not the era of peak narcissism that we live in now. And in some of the comments, people were like, I'm married to one, and I spent such a hard time for so long, but this article helped me. It's like, I can see it now. Like, it all makes sense. I don't know what to do. Thank you for this article, but this is scary. It's like being trapped in a marriage with someone. Like, I'm in my 50s, and I don't know, I've been married to this guy for this long, I'm married to this woman for this long, and they're clearly a narcissist. Man, scary nightmare. All right, why am I rambling about this? Let's keep going with this video.
Same with NBC and Comcast. I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast.
Really, you child? Actually, I take that back. That's insulting to children. Children are good people. What the fuck is this? Just in the middle of this, he just thinks he can just like dig in at Comcast. It's actually Concast, not Comcast. So crazy.
Yes, I call it Concast. Let me just have
we got both hands up. That's when it gets real animated.
Whom you work. Let me just tell you something. That's really bad reporting. And you ought to get back to reporting instead of sensationalism. Let's see it.
He listed a few numbers and said millions are scared. What do you say to them? That's what he considers sensational. Anything less than complete sycophantic upsucking, and he gets upset. Like, he expects everybody to be a Joe Biden staffer during one of Joe's live streams. I'm not going to talk about that tonight, but I was just watching it. Joe Biden's back. He did a live stream, and all the questions, at least the ones I saw, the first three, were his own staffers fawning over him and then asking him, throwing him softballs. Anyway.
If it works, it might and it might not. I happen to feel good about it, but who knows? I've been right a lot.
I've been right? Yeah, someone, I was like, why wouldn't he think he's right a lot? He became the president, and he's got all kinds of money. Fucking piece of shit.
Let's see what happens, John.
Get back to the science and the...
God, he goes to a different guy. Finally, this is our last Trump clip. Then we're going to do another, or rotting old dotard who's got a gelatin squeezing out of his ears. So this is Trump. All right, just another character study here in class. I don't know how it's presented. We'll just hit play. You'll hear it. This is about Mitt Romney.
Romney, Senator Lee,
Senator Gardner, Senator Rick Scott.
Senator Rick Scott. Also, two of them were in contact with
Rick is coming out.
With the critical stimulus.
So Romney is in self-isolation because he was in close contact with somebody who has the virus. I don't know if anybody in his family has been officially diagnosed or not. That might be. It's all happening quickly. But he's at self-isolated. This is March 22nd. So here, let's keep going.
This package vote expected.
Romney's in isolation?
Yes.
Gee, that's too bad. Go ahead.
What a pig. Like, this is the leader of the country. You're not supposed to act like that. Romney's in isolation? Gee, wouldn't it be bad if something happened to him? Romney's one of the thorns in his side, because unlike most Republicans, Romney has 0.1% of his constitution has a sliver of dignity or some sort of integrity, I guess. Romney's a scumbag. He would have been a horrible president. He would have been marginally worse than Obama, to be honest. Like it would have been Obama's economic policies and probably his healthcare policy. Although really, you could make a case that Romney might have been able to pass a stronger healthcare policy. Although he wouldn't have pushed for any kind of healthcare. That's probably the truest part of this. But a Republican that was trying to pass Obamacare would have gotten farther in terms because the right wouldn't have resisted it because they would have wanted a win for their side. So Obama passing a Republican plan, Obamacare, would meant that they had to make a lot more concessions and do it through the reconciliation process. 10-year anniversary of Obamacare. Obama tweeted about it. This is just a random aside here because I'm thinking about it. And, Obamacare did a lot of good for a lot of people. There's a reason they can't get rid of it, or why if they did, politicians who voted against it would be in big trouble, assuming people could learn that that's what they did. But it also left a lot of people uninsured, and it very much is just a giveaway to the insurance companies. It's a for-profit, massive boondoggle for health insurance to put the full weight of the federal government at the cost of taxing you if you don't sign up for a for-profit exchange with an insurance company. And so Obamacare did a lot of good, but celebrating it to me is ugly and gross, and it's one reason Biden's so annoying. Rewind. All right, here we go. Here's one more time.
With the critical stimulus package vote expected.
Romney's in isolation?
Yes.
Gee, that's too bad. Go ahead.
What a prick. This is so ridiculous. All right, so Biden. Man, I got a lot of Biden stuff. I think I'm only going to do some of this. Yeah, we'll do the return, and then I'll try to, because I want to record more of these. I don't want to just do a bunch of 2.5, 3 hour podcasts. This one's already way longer than I expected. So as you guys remember, Biden, when the coronavirus started popping off and people started staying home from work and things were getting canceled. This is like early March, mid-March, and stuff is becoming real. It's like I was watching it because I pay close attention to the news and just going, oh man, when this gets over here, it's going to be trouble because we got nothing but dumb boobs running this place, and it's going to be a nightmare. And America is not set up at all. We're going to have record. The United States will win the battle for the highest numbers, absolutes and percentages, for the way it handles this virus. It's going to be really embarrassing, and it should be, and it's going to be really deadly. But it didn't really sink in, I think, for many in the reality-based side of the world. Everybody's kind of got their own warping factors to whatever media that they ingest, but the right, as usual, is the last people to be brought up to speed on it because their media that they ingest is deliberately misleading and is always lying to them, until it becomes favorable or too much of a cost to it's either favorable to tell the quote unquote truth, which they're always going to give them the spun up version of what we might say is the truth, or they'll, just do the lies. I lost my train of thought on that one there. But it starts to sink in when the NBA, stuff gets canceled. And people now, airlines are, nobody's flying, nobody's going anywhere. Things are getting shut down. Governments are putting things in lockdown. And Trump is daily making this crazy show, which is terrifying now that he's getting used to being in front of the White House press room. Like, he very rarely was in this room before. In fact, I don't even think we did it. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was replaced or left and then was replaced like a year or something ago. And the new press secretary, I don't think, I could be wrong, might be one or two, but I don't think she's ever held a press conference in the White House briefing room. They just stopped talking to the people. And you're supposed to, in a government, in a democracy, which claims to be open and transparent, which is total bullshit, you're supposed to have like access to the president. It's gross enough that we have to go through these filters. Like they really do wall the presidents off. Obama would do in-person press conferences, but mostly he'd have a spokesperson do it. Some highly paid, slick guy. I think one of them's on the Pod Save America crew right now. And, you know, they have a couple different press secretaries over Obama's term. But that was a little bit more of a standard rolling out of presidential information. They'd make announcements. They would answer questions to the press, and then every once in a while the president would come out. Not been the Trump's MO at all. So he's doing it now, though, and I think he's liking it because he's not doing his rallies. And I think this is just serving as like daily a way for him to get on TV every afternoon. And how long this goes on, I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't like having this guy get all this free media. Like during the run-up to the 2016 election, he got all kinds of earned media for free. They would show the empty podium in the corner. Couldn't wait till he came on. And he doesn't deserve that at all. He was probably going to get that again during the 2020 cycle as we were ramping up into the convention season and the real heat of the general election. But this coronavirus thing has changed all that. However, he's still going on camera a couple hours a day, being carried by all the networks, spewing his nonsense, getting people killed. Just being this bumbling idiot, this monster, and it's too bad. I think he likes it. There's even some stuff, I don't have videos of it, but he's just saying how much he wants to get rid of all the reporters and only have 2 or 3 of them, and it's just nuts, man. It's just so bad. It's so bad. So anyway, what would be I'm going to talk about this, Biden and Bernie and the Democratic politics, because that story is just completely ridiculous. It's still not over. I'm pulling for Bernie. I'm hoping he wins. The more and more, though, it's seeming like it's going to be Biden. So generally, I'm assuming he'll be the nominee, which is depressing. And I'm probably contributing to the problem by allowing that to be the default assumption. But it's not too late. And Biden is showing, I don't know why anybody sees Biden and thinks that this is the guy that we need to answer Trump with. It's incredibly irresponsible. Not just his bad record, all the horrible things he's done throughout his entire career working for Republican. Like last year, he got paid $200,000, I think it's $200,000, to do a speech to a Republican group, and it was like a campaign thing. He spoke in favor of I think it was a senator. I should know this stuff. I'm going to talk about it. But this Biden's a Republican. He's not he's a crusty ass old racist white guy with horrible viewpoints. And he's good, and he's losing this ability, as we're all watching in real time, as he's clearly going through some sort of mental decline, cognitive decline, verbal decline. But so set that aside for what I'm about to say, though. Like Biden's strength is his retail politics. He is a great slap you on the back, say something charming, smile those millennial teeth of his. I slurred that a little bit. I get saliva building up in my mouth. There's a image you probably didn't want in your head. His millennial teeth, because those are the only things that are millennial about him. Got him. He's good at giving a speech. He can command an audience. Again, this era is ended basically, but he's that grabby, gropey, sniffy. It's horrible to women, but he's always got a charming quip. He'll whip out a story about corn pop or his blonde leg hairs or something real special. But he's good at that. He's got a charisma about him, and he has nothing but confidence too, as one would suspect of a lifelong senator. He probably started his career with some kind of confidence as well. But he's a bullshitter. He's a good one. He's good at the bullshit, but that's the trick, the prestige, Is that how you use that phrase? I don't remember. The Hugh Jackman movie. Biden bullshits and bloviates so effectively when he's in the retail mode, which means in front of voters or the public or giving a speech or something like that. But he legislates like a piece of shit, like a Republican, like a conservative Democrat. His career, the way he's the senator from MDMA, we wish, MBNA, Delaware, the banking state, America's onshore tax haven. Companies incorporate in Delaware because they don't want to pay taxes. It's a completely it's out of state. When out of state companies incorporate themselves in Delaware, it's clearly there's no misunderstanding it. It's purely because they're doing it for greedy corporate tax reasons. And Biden's the senator from that state for many, many years. The bankruptcy bills and the bankruptcy laws and stuff. And I mean, his whole career is at complete odds with so much of what he says. And I think it's something that we're seeing kind of, and it's more obvious now because the charm is worn off, not to mention that kind of, especially if you're coming from my perspective, people on the left who sort of, kind of still pissed and always will be about Bernie, about this whole thing, about this, the way they all coalesced around Biden right before Super Tuesday and the way the media has treated Bernie over all the years and treats progressives in general, but especially Bernie, with such dismissiveness, when it couldn't be more clear that a guy like Bernie is what we need right now, especially since we need his policies. We need socialism. We need massive socialism, which they're giving to the government, to the corporations. This it hasn't been passed yet, but they're about to pass this potential $6 trillion thing. I don't know exactly how it's all broken up, but there's a whole bunch of money for the corporations, and they're trying to limit it to what regular people get. It's unbelievable. Anyway, Biden is the problem. He's horrible. And but now that he's going to be the front runner, or he's the presumed front, or he is the front runner now, he's a presumed nominee during this coronavirus, it's a great opportunity to get out there. People pay attention to you when you're the front runner of a major party nomination. You're the leader, the de facto leader of half the country, in a sense. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, but Bernie's doing it. Bernie's a leader. Bernie's stepping up. Bernie's hosting live streams. Bernie's being real active. Bernie is doing what we need a leader to do, especially to highlight a contrast. I actually think Bernie could be a lot more aggressive against Biden and against other things. But Dr. Biden, I hate calling people vice president. He's not the vice president. There's only one vice. That's one thing America does where we venerate, like they still call Newt Gingrich Speaker Gingrich. He lost his job. He hasn't been a speaker since, I don't know when the 90s is when he was a speaker. You hear it all the time in America. Oh, Mayor Bloomberg. He's not the mayor. Mayor Giuliani. He's not the mayor. It's weird how these titles attach and stick with them. Anyway, so rapist Biden. No, he's not. There's some accusations today that I have not listened. I've heard of it, and I'm going to listen to it and see what, probably share what I think with you all. But he's been nowhere. All last week, there was a hashtag Where's Biden or RIP Joe Biden. Just the occasional tweet, but no presence. At one point, Simone Sanders, I think is she the press secretary? She's not the campaign manager, but she was a regular contributor to CNN, and she worked on the Bernie campaign. I think she was his press secretary in 2016, right? I actually remember when I was doing stuff with Jimmy Dore, we went to Bernie's headquarters in Iowa. Very interesting experience to see like how a campaign operates, and we had a contact there that we got to talk to, and he showed us some cool stuff. But I remember seeing Simone there doing her job, and it was interesting because everything is new to me, and I was just like, kind of taking it in. She seemed very smart, very capable, and kind of like directing, because it's a little bit of a madhouse. People coming and going, volunteers and press and different folks. Bernie was not there at the time. I imagine it would have been a little bit more intense if he was, just in terms of the volume of people and noise. But I remember seeing Simone at the headquarters doing her thing. I was like, wow, that's cool. She's kind of taking, seems like she knows what she's doing. And then that's why it's so weird to sort of see this turn into the, because she joined the Biden campaign, I think, like really early. I remember hearing when he was announcing it, and I was like, wait, Simone Sanders, what the fuck? She's going to be okay. All right. Well, all right. I mean, it's a career. It's like a career thing for a lot of people. That's one reason I think this whole coalescence around Biden emerges too, because in the establishment, they're terrified of Bernie, not because he's a threat to their billionaire benefactors. They're also worried because he would disrupt the like consultant pipeline and the staffer pipeline that exists within the Democratic apparatus. Bernie has his own version of that. He's not immune to it either. People who work on the Bernie campaign are probably hoping they can work on the Bernie administration, and that's okay. But it's a very well-established thing. So Simone just jumped in on the Biden thing, and it all worked out, I guess. I had predicted Biden would fizzle out, which he did, except that nobody could take Bernie down, and they all decided to jump on board and throw all their weight behind him. And that's right before Super Tuesday, and it worked. Now Biden is the guy, and we're stuck with this because it's a terrible thing. So he's been absent. He has not been out highlighting the differences between him and Trump. What a great opportunity where Trump is causing extra death, causing extra fear, causing extra expense, crashing the stock market, which, by the way, who gives a shit? I mean, the stock market's it's important. It's not but like that it's all built around what rich people get to do with their winnings. What's the right word? Stolen money. Because it's profit taking, which should go to the people who make the profits, which are the workers. Workers should decide how profits are expended. And that might mean going into stock ownership. That's okay too. Or public trusts or sovereign wealth funds. I mean, it's not like the market itself is what's the problem. It's just that the people who have access to it and the people who use it predominantly are all these billionaires, these rich people. It's just how they play with their invisible money. That is all just kind of made up anyway. You know, look at the $6 trillion they're about to pump into it, or whatever the total is. So Biden's absent and wasting a great opportunity. And Trump's been getting decent approval ratings because the press is terrible. They don't start every broadcast with "this is worse" because the president dilly-dallied for 2 or 3 months, or not 3 months, but for a month and a half. Dilly-dallied would be a generous thing. He deliberately obfuscated and deliberately misled people, as did the right-wing media apparatus. But they don't lead that. They don't lead with that. People just see a guy on TV, occasional snippet that's been filtered through the the media sort of dummy washing. They kind of clean it up for him because they interpret it for him. You don't just get to see the raw, unedited bullshit. They might occasionally hint that it's a lie or something, but they're letting the people down constantly. So Trump's approval ratings are decent right now. And Biden has a responsibility to be out there hammering at that. And I think even today, I saw a brief thing. Like he said something positive about how it's good that Trump is getting good ratings because we need him. Like that's a nice little kumbaya bullshitty kind of thing. But that would be like in a utopian world where the conservative and liberal divide is fabric versus plastic band-aids, or like we need to work on it. We could get the thing where the conservatives are just like, I like The Bachelor, and liberals are like, I like British Bake Off, and that's like the thing that we fight about. Instead, it's all this life and death stuff, and all it does is tickle because it's not grounded in any truths other than that there's pain in the world that we have the power to alleviate. That's where my politics comes from, and but people generally just want to stick to their tribalistic affinities. So Biden completely wasting this time, not showing up. And finally he comes out. I don't know if this was this is actually what we're about to watch is the victory speech he gave on the 17th. So this was like late Tuesday or sometime any Tuesday evening, afternoon, when it was becoming clear that he was going to win Illinois, Florida, and Arizona primaries. Other states, Ohio, I'm trying to think of which others, delayed theirs because of the virus, because gathering in public is dangerous. Yet, because it seemed like an opportunity for the Biden campaign to score some delegates and to score another cycle of primary victories, they insisted that these large states, Illinois, Florida, and Arizona, definitely Illinois and Florida are big states in terms of delegates and population. Arizona, not a tiny state. It's land-wise. Okay, you know what I'm saying. These are not small, tiny, nothing states. No offense, South and North Dakota. We should combine those two, by the way. It's ridiculous. There's 4 senators for those 2 states. But they made a decision. Everybody else was calling to cancel. Bernie was saying we should put it off. Everybody, all the health advice, the CDC. don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But the Bidens and the DNC insisted. And it was still, I mean, this is the 17th. This is weirdly only 6 days ago. It seems like forever. You know, so a lot of the people who might not have internalized how dangerous or how risky this is. And actually, what's one of the things about the virus is that you don't know how risky it is. Like, it makes sense to be overly paranoid. That's the proper response, both in terms of like a macro scale and a micro scale. You're supposed to overreact because if you wait to be perfect, you're gonna let the virus escape, meaning break out through and cause other hotspots and travel. And on a micro scale, you should be overly cautious because it's like the negativity bias. You're better to be wrong about being too paranoid than wrong about being not paranoid enough, because then you're dead. So, I'm not sure what the hell I was rambling about that. Oh, so in Illinois and in Florida and Arizona, people went to vote. They still held the election, but during the whole day, we see reports of some of the precincts where the workers didn't show up for it, or they didn't have the right gear, or they were only given like one bottle of like bleach wipes or something, like nowhere near sufficient quarantine procedures, protocols. And just trying to think of which word to use there. Risking people's lives to go stand in line, and then with all the voter suppression, which the Democrats are doing voter suppression with, as far as closing down. Like in North Dakota, Fargo had one polling station. I believe there are only 14 polling stations in that entire state, if I'm correct about that. And so it's a very real and fair, meaning it's not like it's a ridiculous case to make that a lot of those people who went to vote for Biden or Bernie on Tuesday, the 17th, will die from that. They'll pick up the virus there, bring it home, maybe give it to somebody else in their family, spread it, and die. Most won't. It doesn't kill more than 50%. We don't know the exact rate. It's somewhere from 0.1 to, from 1% to maybe 3%. That rate goes up when you don't have hospital beds with ventilators, which is about to happen in America. That's why America's number is going to be so huge, because we're going to hit the hospital capacity. And your chances of surviving without a ventilator go up incredibly high. So a lot of people are going to be choking on their own blood and damaged lung tissue and dying of lack of oxygen as they're, in a hallway of a hospital somewhere or at home. This is so bad, man. So the Bidens, the Democrats, they're willing to kill people, like literally. They knew a decision they were making would get people killed. But they had to score the points. They got the points on the board. Can't really take back those primaries. It's not like they're going to do a redo at this point. Everything's kind of dynamic and up in the air. And people are going to die. So good work. Good work. Anyway, Biden was out of it, this whole speech. Let's just play a little bit of it here. I don't even know what he's talking right now. There's one specific moment I have marked that we'll see. Come on. What the hell?
Ordinary things when the need arises. And today, we are moving quickly to adapt our routines to meet this challenge. Americans in 3 states went to...
Now that we've killed a bunch of people that voted for me, because fuck them, I don't care, we're going to meet the challenge. Constantly slurring. So here's the part. We'll just watch to the end. There's a kind of funny way that this ended. So here he is ending.
And we'll get through this together. That's how we've always done it. God bless you all.
Ugh.
And my special prayer for those of you in the front lines of the crisis. Doctors, nurses, healthcare workers, caring for the virus victims and their families.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that your financial burdens are just as bad as before. Because I'm Joe Biden and I work for the credit card companies.
My prayers are going out for everyone. My hopes are high because I believe in times of crisis, Americans have always stepped up. We have to step up and care for one another.
Americans step up. American companies run. They fucking go running, and they run to the government with their hands out, looking for freebies.
Thank you all. Thank you all for listening.
Okay, so now he just locks in, doesn't know what to do. His wife shows up.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks. Okay.
She walks away. He stays. Then he follows her. What is going on here? What is this? This is like the first rehearsal at a nursing home, like a fun nursing home that does like plays. Hey man, that'd be fun. I've always thought if I ever go to prison, I'd be like the guy that does like poetry class, maybe an open mic for stand up. Can you imagine a prison open mic? That'd be pretty intense. But like I'd be the nursing home guy. I'd be like, hey everybody, we want to do something creative. So let's back it up. We're rewinding.
Snap.
Okay, he's taking time. He says thanks to. Here we go.
So
Hit it.
Thank you all for listening.
Oh, it's so awkward. It's so awkward. Oh, there you are. Were you there the whole time?
Thanks.
Thanks. I like to thank women for kisses and orgasms. I think it's kind of nice. I think gratitude is an appropriate emotion to experience during making out, right? But they hate hearing it. You don't say thanks. Women, they don't want to hear thank you. I guess you show your gratitude by getting up and getting some water. Offer the box of Kleenex. Don't just grab one tissue. Just hold the box open. Maybe put the whole thing down. Maybe offer to wipe it up. You know, it's not a show for kids. Sorry everybody. Don't offend any children. We could talk violence if you want to have your kids listening. We can talk about that. So he thanks his wife. Just going to jump back.
Thanks.
She goes in for a kiss. Watch real close. I'm sorry for the audio listeners. I'll try to, bad kiss on the side.
Thanks.
Ooh, she gets one super close. She almost kisses him there. She goes in for the neck and she misses. It would have been funny if she started doing that like tonguing, like like the pornos. Boy, I bet the porno company is getting lots of traffic these days, huh? They're probably the ones that put out the pandemic.
Thanks.
God, so weird.
Okay.
No clue. Totally befuddled. But that sounds familiar. Okay, right? Didn't that sound familiar? You regular viewers, right? You've heard that before. Hit it!
Okay.
It's that fucking Trump. It's that piece of shit Trump. Here he is. Remember, this is from when he gave one of his address. This is the address that during which the futures market completely collapsed, March 11th.
Okay.
Undoing his belt. Let's just watch a little montage here that I made for you, just special for everybody. This is a treat for the YouTuber, people watching on YouTube, and the listeners. Starting from the beginning.
Okay.
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 Okay. Okay.
What I should have kept it going. God, that's so great. That's so fun. How about another journey through just like the second half of this?
Okay.
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 Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's so stupid. I want to do like a bomb explode, like a or something. I don't know, something crazy random. But I was like, if I didn't stop and force myself to actually record these things, I would never get through these things at all. At all. Like I just think of stuff. Oh, there's a headline for that. Oh, there's a thing for that. I just want to go and find out all sorts of stuff. Anyway, just jump back. Actually, this is from August. I want to say, August 19th of 2019. This is early in the election. So gross that our elections are 2 years long. But Jill Biden, and by the way, when you marry an older man, or you a young man marries an older woman, or a young woman marries an older man, and I don't know what the age difference is. Let's find out. Let's look it up. Let's put it up on the Google the Google turntable. Let's see, Joe Biden. Oops, not joke. Joe Biden, married wife, age difference. She is Why is this not? She's born in 1951. He's born. This is not the answers I want. What the fuck? This is horrible. It's already gotten. This should not be. in the podcast. This is terrible. Jill Biden, Wikipedia. Why isn't there just a thing that says the number of years? Just show me. She married Joe in 1977. Wow, they've been at it a long time. 1951. All right, we'll do it the hard way then. You're going to force me to do math in front of my friends, aren't you? Joe Biden age. So she's 1951. He is 1942. That's actually nothing. That's actually only 8 years. No, 9 years. That's a good bit. But that's not like, the older you get, the less that becomes percentage-wise. Like a 20-year-old marrying a 29-year-old. Actually, that doesn't sound as insane. But like a 1-year-old marrying a 10-year-old. Okay? A little bit nuts. But she's younger than he is. And inevitably, if you're younger and you marry someone older, you become their babysitter. So we're watching this woman in the babysitter phase of their relationship, which is sad. But here she is talking about Joe in the context of how his healthcare is doing compared, or is being received compared to others that are some of her husband's opponents.
So yes, your candidate might be better on, I don't know, healthcare than Joe is. But you've got to look at who's going to win something.
Listen, folks, just use some common sense, would you? Just because he's offering, my husband has a terrible plan that will hurt people, and therefore your candidate might be better, which would save literally tens of thousands of lives a year. But you got to think about who Americans will elect. They won't elect someone who gives a shit. They'll elect some old mush-brained idiot that has no idea where he is or what he's doing, who will definitely not disrupt the system too much. And that's what's electable. Just be realistic, folks. Just be realistic. So now Joe Biden, he finally emerged. He came out of hiding. We went out and we put some sacrificial leaves, little weird cakes, some kind of traditional dessert. We set them up on a table built from the finest ancient wood, and we put it up against the edge of the forest in hopes to appease the elven gods. Will they accept our offering and release their captive back into the wilds of modernity from the ethereal plains of Elf Kingdom? I'm saying that Joe's a magical being who is temporarily released from his imprisonment among the immortal elf people. And by that, I'm saying he was hiding for a long time and no one knew where the fuck he was. And people were rightfully speculating that he's dead. What they were doing. Oh, yeah, there was a moment where somebody had said that they were working on Joe's house because he didn't have high ceilings, which they needed for light. But Bernie had been broadcasting from his home using lamps on the floor. Like your first film, when you decide to start making films with your friends, you just you use lamps for lighting. I'll still use lamps for lighting because they're lights. But no, they're building a fancy studio in Joe Biden's apartment. Now there was one shot, I don't have it, where he's like wandering around and he wanders out of camera and out of frame. He looks like a complete, like you just want to be like, sir, are you okay? Do your kids know where you are? Is there someone we can call? Do you have like an address? Do you have any phone numbers? Does anybody know where you are, sir? Sir, that's not your straw. You have to order something before you put the straw up your nose. But they built the studio here for Biden. I guess it's his basement. But one thing I wanted to point out is it's obviously very staged, and no fault on the people for putting the background in there. You're not gonna just be random about your background. If it's his basement, they're not gonna do just like open framing with like partial drywall. It's just some shit ass basement. It would be funny if he had just like wood paneling, some weird old shelf with dusty like collector's beer cans from something, some like McDonald's collector's cups from the 60s or some shit. Some weird basement stuff, but no, he's got like a white shelving. It's rich people stuff. They always got tons of books. So I always like to pretend like they read. But the thing that jumps out at me that I find kind of distasteful is if you look just past Joe Biden's right shoulder, frame left, it's a triangular flag folded up, which is how they present flags that have draped over the coffins of dead soldiers to the bereaved, to their spouse or their parents or somebody. And I'm pretty sure that's Beau Biden's, it's his son who died. He was in the National Guard. I don't know what the full extent of his military service was, but that's probably his. And I'm not suggesting Commandant Biden should be disappointed or shouldn't have strong, powerful feelings about his dead kid. That's not where I'm going with this. But it's very obvious that they made sure to include that in the shot. It's actually the frame I'm using in on YouTube is not as wide as it's not a 16:9 wide. So you can see more of it in like the wider shot. And it's obviously placed to provoke emotional feelings and to be part of the set decoration, but it's your kid's coffin flag, man. And you're using it to score political points? That's distasteful. Because he refers to it all the time. He said Pete Buttigieg reminded him of Bo. And Joe shouldn't be restricted from talking about his kid, about Bo, at all. If he wants to, that's fine, right? But it's kind of gross to use your dead kid to score political points and to use your dead kid's coffin flag as a prop for your quarantine studio in your basement. I mean, what do people see that and think, oh, I mean, I don't know how much it rises their consciousness, but it's a totem, if that's the right word, of a very sad thing. This guy's dead. And I'm sure we're going to see more of that. It just kind of makes me, swallow my own vomit a little bit. So here we go. We're just going to roll through this, and then we'll call it quits for this episode. I got more to do. Maybe I'll do another one tomorrow. I want to do more frequent ones. So it won't be tomorrow. Let me be honest. I got some work to do Friday or Saturday. But all right. So, oh shit. Okay. Here we go. This is just Joe starting out. See what he says.
Third, the president needs to end the infighting and bickering with his own administration. Listen.
What the fuck is he saying?
To the scientists.
Oh shit. My screen just went dark. That's weird.
Listen to the scientists and provide clear guidance. The American people are not getting clear leadership, clear action, and clear accountability.
And the other day, clear in the words. Why is he slurring my words so much?
Something's going on with this guy. Here's another one.
Workers. The worker who is seeing their wages slashed, they need to be made whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those who lose their jobs, they need strong, sustained unemployment benefits, whether they are gig workers or full-time employees.
What's a gig worker? Is that like a band? You know, I was like, boy, we had a band, and I wasn't in the band. I wanted to be, but I would go to the tryouts. Back in those days, we called them rehearsals. We called them rehearsals. And there was a black fella there. And so gig workers, Joe Biden is a servant of the corporate class, of the ruling class. He is a corporate bitch. He does their bidding. He's the Delaware senator. He's the credit card senator. He's the bankruptcy senator. He's the put him in jail senator. Joe Biden has never done anything for workers. Give me a fucking break. Somehow he gets support from union types because he's good at this retail politics stuff. But his career is the opposite of what workers have done. If he hadn't been around, as well as the complicity of all the other senators who he's worked with in his wretched government over the years, a lot of people's lives would be a lot better. So fuck that shit. Let's go to the next one.
But they're looking to the federal government for more help.
Okay. Did he what?
But they're looking to the federal government for more help.
Yeah, it sounds like the audio drops out. He just doesn't finish the word. As far as I can tell, and I got a pretty good eye for this. I'm a video editor professionally. I don't see any. There's no whatever. So let's listen.
But they're looking to the federal government for more.
It's like he just doesn't have the air for the role part of federal.
More help.
I feel like I'm picking on a weird old guy who doesn't deserve it, but he wants to run the world and have nuclear weapons, and the standards for politicians are very different in terms of what's appropriate as far as what's okay to criticize them for. I hate this civility policing, as if we're supposed to treat these people like they're just some fella down at the cat post factory. Where they make the posts covered in carpeting? They make another factory for that, who is trying to get people to donate to the world's largest cat post. Do they call it a post? Cat scratching post. Cat post sounds like a
like either a cereal or like I lost my train of thought. Pulling a Biden here. I had some good there. Oh yeah, cat post office. See, that's the good thing I forgot. Terrible. Okay, another one.
The workers manufacturing gear we need to keep delivery trucks on the road, cooking meals to deliver, tending to our elderly loved ones. The journalists to keep us up to date and hold us accountable as leaders.
Yeah. Okay. I know. It's so the speech, the banal nonsense, the kind of like Obama-ish. Obama was an amazing speech giver and performer. So he was able to take words, and I think he was involved in the speech writing too. But this Biden here is just regurgitating bullshit. Let's listen to this one again.
The workers manufacturing gear we need to keep delivery trucks on the road.
This guy's got no clue. One more.
This is the United States of America. There's not a single...
This is the United States America. There's not a single word we will ever forget. This is the tided...
He's just like glitching. Man, it's so bad. He's like a Westworld character who has to go into the back rooms and have the techs work out the glitches and the kinks and figure out what's wrong with this guy. And this is what we're going to answer Trump with. This is what the brain trust that the Democrats have decided is our best hope for winning. By the way, the Democrats, they won. They've already won the election for their donors. That happened, and this is, again, presuming Bernie doesn't get the nomination, and I sincerely hope he does, obviously. But their job was to stop Bernie. And they did that on Super Tuesday. They got Buttigieg, they got Harris, they got Beto, and then the next week they got Booker jumped. No, they got they got everybody jumped in because that's their survival, desperate survival pitch to prevent Bernie from getting the nomination. If Bernie had a powerful Super Tuesday, they would have been fucked. Or it would have been a lot harder to stop him. And that's why they don't care if Trump wins. I don't think they want him to win. I think they prefer greatly that this Trump light Biden gets in. But a Trump presidency is nowhere near, other than the fact that it might get us all killed and good chance of a fascist takeover, authoritarian coup. It might pull some stuff either to keep himself in office forever or get his children in office, which is a hallmark of tin pot dictatorships, which America seems to be unable to prevent. So I think they prefer Biden. But as far as what their donors want, and that's who funds them, and that's whose priorities they care about, Tom Perez, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, leaders within the Democratic National Committee and the DNC and the DCCC, they won already. This election's over for them. That's why it's okay for them to just throw this ramen noodle sitting in the sun for brains guy into the mix here. And actually what I think might happen is just a sense of this. I think Biden's going to pick a VP, a female, as he said. It's going to be Klobuchar, Harris, or Warren. Pretty good chance he'll pick Warren. That would be like I could see how his handlers could persuade him, when they're not feeding him like 2 pounds of meat that they got from Walmart. Watching that Tiger show on Netflix, by the way, Tiger King. You guys, check it out. It's pretty intense. They're not feeding him his daily allotment of nutrients and soaking him in his Matrix-style hyperbaric chamber filled with some kind of viscous goo that prevents him from dying too quickly, which is obviously not working. I lost my train of thought there, but I'll just finish. Oh, I could see them persuading themselves and him that Warren would be the one to go with. And would she accept it? Probably. And but there's a good shot he'll pick Klobuchar or Harris or whatever. But I think then he'll bow out for health reasons, because we're going to see some massive stumbles. Very unfortunate that during the debate he actually had one of his better performances. He wasn't a complete mess at the last Democratic debate, and that's what we really needed, because Bernie making good points isn't going to get positive press coverage. Joe Biden making good points will. Joe Biden making any point will. Just Bernie did a thing where he like kind of trapped him, and this is about the debate stuff where he said that, oh, you didn't say that about Social Security, and then like, oh, check out the video. Well, of course, the mainstream press isn't going to play those videos. They're not going to do that fact checking. So the degree that it happens online is great, but is it enough to change things? Not really, unfortunately. So I think they might pull Biden off of this and give it to the VP, whoever that is. And that would be better. Klobuchar would be better than Biden. Harris would be better than Biden. I'd take Harris over Klobuchar. I'd take Warren over any of them for sure. Lots to say about Warren and her and Bernie and this entire thing. That's another fascinating part of this entire sad saga. But man, this is a bad mistake. And so one of the moments from this speech, I didn't have the full one in the video, the previous video. So let's just watch this. I think this is teleprompter breaks down or something. We see him dealing with it. Just take a look.
Beef up the number of responders dealing with these crush of cases. And in addition to that,
he's waving his hand. He's like desperately trying to get him to scroll.
In addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing. I've spoken enough of that.
Yeah, he's spoken enough about that. He totally made a decision. It's nothing to do with the tech failure or his inability to manage his team. Now, to be fair, they're kind of new with this here in his basement. I've set shit up and been like, that first one was a little rough, but come on, practice this stuff. You're running for fucking presidency. You got so much money.
The president must use the Defense Production Act.
Yeah. So there it is. That's Biden. There's a lot more to do, a lot more to say. Let me see if there's anything I wanted to mention. This is just such a fucking nightmare. This whole thing is a horror show. It's all happening in slow motion. It's all happening. For some people, it's happening in fast motion. For the nurses and doctors and healthcare workers, and for them, they're the bravest people in the world, and they have to get up every day. I'm scared walking out the door and going to the frozen pizza hut. The frozen pizza dispensary, and is standing in line and touching the cashier gloves. So is that something that's I've noticed? So the cashiers also brave. These people are like the essential workers, the people who can't not work, grocery store workers, essential services and stuff like that. The people who we treat the worst, who don't have great health insurance or aren't well paid, delivery, grocery store stockers. Unbelievable how much they're disrespected, and hopefully that changes. Hopefully after this nightmare, we come to our senses and just say, like, maybe we should treat these people with enough respect so that they don't have to do when they are forced to work these scary jobs, just stocking shelves or being a cashier or setting aside the healthcare workers. That's its own category. They deserve even more. That they're compensated, hazard pay, fully covered health care, which should be for everybody. And one of the things I think that's kind of being pointed out is that they're, we should be thanking them, and we should. And it take some bravery, I think, to go to work every day. But one of the reasons they're going to work every day is because it's really fucking scary to not have a job. The desperation that waits on the other side of having a job forces you to compromise your safety so you could go to work. If we had a really good safety net in this country, if we had proper health care for everybody, free at point of use, universal coverage, I bet a lot of people, cashiers, wouldn't go to work. I imagine plenty would, but they'd probably say, fuck that. That should I have to go do that work? And that's fine. You're allowed to make, most of us are making a selfish decision not to do that. I should be jumping in and volunteering or doing something as a healthcare provider. I would probably survive if I got the virus. Being a healthy younger person, it's a scary thought, and that should be an individual choice. It shouldn't be up to Donald Trump and his asshole friends and his rich buddies to force everybody to go back to work. But a society that offered respect and dignity to people at the lower end, our current lower end, probably would have had a more competent government and might not have had such a bad pandemic too. You know, it all kind of correlates. These things kind of travel in constellations of things. I like that word, constellation. It's been in my lexicon lately. The cashiers. That's what I was going to say. These you got this store, and the cashiers are wearing gloves, which is fine. You know, they're protected. That's how they protect themselves. I did have one cashier with a face mask, and the gloves don't. Unless there's something on the gloves that makes the virus less likely to be transferred, maybe there's some benefit. But the gloves don't, as far as I understand, they're not much different than human skin in terms of if you touch something, it's on your finger, then you touch something else, now it's on that, right? It's pretty straightforward. So when you go shopping and you're kind of out a little bit on edge, and I'm not too bad about, I mean, I've seen, you know, I've tried to take wide turns around people, not breathe too heavy. I was near someone who coughed right in front of me, like facing me, but you know, when like someone farts, then you're like, well, there's a cloud of fart for the next few, you know, seconds, depending on the airflow in the room. So it's like I had to walk through her mouth fart cloud, and I was just like, ugh, this sucks. But so you're going through and you're picking out your stuff. You know, get my sriracha bottle, get my thing of cream. I make cold brew coffee at home. Starting to try to pull back on that. Like, why am I drinking coffee? I've got enough anxiety all day long as it is. So, salad dressing. I love to chug a bottle of ranch before bed. And, you know, the guy's processing your stuff, moving the the food items. Suddenly I can't talk. Moving the food items through the laser reader, right? Scanning, and they're just touching everything of yours. So the person who touches everything that every other customer who came in touched is the cashier. So we all gather deliberately to pay, and there's no, you know, unless you have self-checkout, which is probably a choice people are making at some grocery stores. I could see why. And I'm just standing there watching the cashier touch everybody in front of me. He touches everything there, and then he touches everything in the next person, and then everything of mine touches. And like I'm like, oh god, he touched the top of it. I touched the lid, like the lid. Like he's not that I'm even blaming the guy, and I don't want to micromanage him. Be like, hey, maybe you could let me do it. Can I jump back there real quick? Like I'll be quick. Can I just reach over? But it's just, I don't know. It just jumps out to me like we're taking these precautions, and then we go bring all of our food from the shelf to the cashier, and then whatever they've touched is going to be on your thing. So I actually came home and I Purelled a couple of the things that I saw where he touched like the top of it, especially the sriracha bottle. I mean, that one I keep under my pillow, you know. So that's got to be super sterile. I want to infect that with my own funk, not some Trump virus. So yeah, it's fine though. You know, it's good. You get out there, you Purell. I got a hold of Purell at Target. I was there while there was like a guy standing there with a box, like a worker, not just some dude. And he was only letting you take one big one, one little one, not the big one, but you know. So feeling okay. Got enough to survive the apocalypse, at least for a few weeks. Not really. No, not at all. So. Yeah, okay. That's all I got. I could keep going. I'm going to do more soon. This has been already kind of a long one, but I'm working on trimming it down. I want to get these to about an hour. And part of it, too, is just like as I'm gathering videos and headlines, I just have to be like, okay, Hank, you got like 5 of them. You really don't need to do 12 or 20. Not that I have some number I'm going for. There's so much happening right now. And I just need to kind of streamline my selections and how I pick them out and set them up and put them on the show. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. Please, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're, or even if you're not, go on and look in the description for a link and subscribe. Because once we get 100 subscribers, we can pick a name for the channel. That's like my goal now, and I want to build it out from there. And I'm going to talk more about the Young Turks. There's some union stuff. No real dramatic developments per se, but it does. It's an ongoing story that I have a lot of interest in talking about and signal boosting. It's been kind of dismayed seeing how little people are actually speaking up about the Young Turk. I know this candidate Joshua Collins at Joshua 4, the numeral 4 Congress, has actually been pretty vocal about it lately, which is pretty great. He's been on the Young Turks for a while, and he'll probably never be on again, which is sad. So good guy, socialist, strong, fearless, desperate. And I don't mean that he himself is, but he's a truck driver who is fed up with the lot that the world has handed him. So he's standing up and doing something about it. He's not just sitting back. And I like he's a good voice. So it's good to hear him, or good to see him speaking up about the union at TYT. That's where we are. There's more to say. There'll be more later. And I hope you guys are all staying safe. Hope you're not going too insane. I hope you're getting fat like me. Join me. Let's all be walruses together on the ice floe. And because soon I'm going to start a workout thing, I think. I really want to. I have these moments of like, oh, I know. I'll just get in great shape. And then I'll have amazing sex. And I'll have amazing pants and clothes. And I'll feel good. And I'll look good. And everything's going to be fine. And then I think, wow, but that's going to take a lot of work. And then I just go back to sleep or something. It doesn't really last. But I am feeling like I got to do something about this. I can't get too fat. I used to be much fatter. Wasn't happy. Didn't like it. Now I'm about at the limit of my pants. I'm at peak pants here because my belly's about to peek out. Okay. All right. Goodbye. Be safe. I love you. Hang in there. It's going to be all right. We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Maybe together. It's hard to say.